Hey guys, it's your girl Aisha, aka geekxxchic, and I'm back with another reaction to Marvel's Runaways Season 2, Episode 2. I'm just going to get through 2 episodes today, because why not? We have them all available, all at the same time. Awesome! Alright, this episode is called Radio 1. It's on the radio, it's on. Last episode, premiere, pretty good, pretty chill. Not too much happened outside of giving us some exposition and some groundwork. As I said, major things that basically went down is that the parents have got some full-scale command center, attack level stuff ready to catch these kids, and they're also deciding to go up against Jonah and stop whatever it is that he's doing, even though it's probably too late. We also saw that Carolina is in contact with her dad, and there was a little earthquake thing that happened towards the end of the last episode as well. So he's referring obviously to whatever is in those glowing rocks, and he said, hey, it's all beginning. Whatever that is, we're going to find out as the season progresses, but I can't think it's good for humanity. Just saying. Like I said, not a lot came out of last episode, but we did get a good taste of what we can expect the rest of this season, and I'm personally looking forward to figuring out how they plan on going up against, is it going to be their parents? I mean, at first I thought it was going to be their parents, but I'm starting to think whatever's in that hole, as we saw from the trailer, the promotional trailer for this season, something's coming out of that hole that is not looking too healthy. So I feel like the focus is going to shift from beating their parents in this season to beating whatever the heck is coming out of that hole. So that sounds so dirty no matter how many times I say it. Anyways, we're not going to know what's going to happen until we get into the episode. So without more chit chat, let's get into this one and I'll talk about it later. Okay? Boop. She can handle it. That's my girl. She's like, get on me. Oh! Okay, let's invest in helmets for inside the house.
You don't need anything outside of yourself to control this power. It comes from within you. It is you.
If that isn't a deep message for life, kids. Woo! I don't want to touch you.
Pretty sure I saw like rat-sized cockroaches back there.
Bite-sized old lace snacks. No, gross.
Aww. Well, Lace is like, I'm not picky. You know what I mean? She's like, don't judge me. Don't you judge me.
We need to power up, which means I need the staff of one.
You realize your mom has it, right? I mean, why don't we start off by stealing something easy like the Elder Scrolls in Skyrim?
Thank you for the nerd reference.
Obviously a joke,
I got you, Alex. I got you.
No,
It's okay.
The guy who kidnapped and almost shot you? That's a great plan. Good thing you don't need an IQ test to stay here.
Yeah, because then where would you stay? Look, you guys,
Ooh.
I can't tell you, and I did, so now I'm leaving.
Shots fired.
Alex, at least you told us the truth.
I don't see y'all doing nothing to make no money either, so...
Why is these surveillance feeds? In case anyone still wants to find our kids?
Right?
Fine.
Remember them?
We'll do it.
You see anything, you call me immediately. Got it?
Jeez Louise. The amount of dick swinging in this room right now.
Co-chair thing working out.
Right?
And you're sure it's everything Victor's got?
Believe it or not, I can actually read these specs too.
You know what I mean?
I'm sorry, I didn't
Rude.
mean to offend you.
And sexist.
Everybody knows you met Victor in grad school, but they forget that you were an excellent student as well.
Right?
How are you doing this?
I can't explain to you how I'm using quantum field theory and subcellular biophysical processes to keep your husband alive. You just have to trust that I am, okay?
Again, condescending and sexist.
Light is energy, right? Yeah, I've just never tried anything like this before.
Really? Because you shot like massive beams at your dad like just a few weeks ago, so just go off, girl.
What the hell are you doing just showing up here like this? You here because you want something?
That is not a smart place to put a gun.
I mean, when you say it like that, it sounds like I have an ulterior motive.
You do. And there she is.
Oh, that motive right there?
What's that? I'm curious, and yet I don't want you to touch it. Car?
That is sick.
A Royce? Okay.
How a large, expensive junker is going to improve the quality of our lives. You know what would actually help is if you got the power on. Like you said you would 3 hours ago.
Okay.
Can you do that or not?
Wow.
Yeah.
Chill, Gert.
Yeah. Can do this However you want.
He's such a pushover, bless him.
So you're saying you do to do?
Duh, Gert. Jeez Louise.
Well, I'm just thinking about sex.
Really, sir?
How's the power up?
Okay.
Hey,
FYI, Gert, if you want him to keep his mind off of sex, you're gonna have to be careful with that shit. Just saying.
Emotional good cop didn't work. And we all know what comes next.
Nice.
Where is she?
The she. Not even mother anymore. I love how Dad's like, this is not on me. I did what I could. I'm out. Really, Molly? Are you even trying? Do you think you even lift? This is hot, though. Oh, damn.
Nico, stay back.
Whoa, finally. Like you meant it. Y'all have to start working together.
Why?
She can swim, she's okay. It's just water. Oh, never mind. I spoke too soon.
This is why Amy said the monster you are right now.
Ooh! Shots fired. Good job, Nico.
I don't expect you to understand the things I've done.
No one
Or the
does.
reasons that I have done them. Do not ever question whether I love you.
Love is a really, really loose term here.
When you leave here, what you said before will be true. When we see each other again, we will no longer be mother and daughter.
Okay.
It's your choice.
It's like that. Poor Molly. Can you dry her with the staff? Just dry.
I got my mom to drop the spell. Oh, if you're gonna be pissed, you pissed at your homicidal maniac. I'm a mother. All I ever did was everything that you asked.
The infighting doesn't need to happen right now.
I'm sorry I let you down.
Wow, Nico, you've had that staff for all of 13 seconds and you've already become so Tina-like, it's a little annoying.
We don't know who Jonah is, or where he's from, or even what he is.
There we go.
And I think that it's time that we all got a lot more curious.
That's right. Thank you for using your degreed brain, ma'am.
Things that I'm good at, all right?
Yes.
Even out here. Let there be light.
Whoops. Aw. Told you.
Try and make it last a little bit longer.
Darius is soft.
Come with me.
Well, alright then. You see the way men just get careless with their lives when they think there's gonna be some potential ass in the picture? Okay. Can we just stop a minute? Like, you tell me this black man with a black mama and a black daddy don't know how to deal with his own hair? Stop that nonsense right now.
Yeah, let me do it. This is kind of my thing.
Okay.
Trust me.
He really does need it, though. You need a protective style, sweetie. Winter is coming. You do not want that out and about, especially in that dirty house you're living in. Okay, Alex is lifting. Look at them shoulders and arms, sir. Okay. Come on, my brother. You know better than this. It's time for you to leave. We know better.
We're gonna figure out how to use our powers together.
Yes, we definitely need some coordination.
Ready to go on.
Ah! Album title.
Yeah. I just felt so powerless in that moment. I never want to feel that powerless again.
That's the road to the dark side. I'm liking this. I'm liking seeing her be smart and use those brains.
How about tomorrow?
I can make it happen. Look at Alex with all his swag all of a sudden, sir.
People change.
No, they don't. Especially not you. Look, I'm not interested in more deals.
You haven't even heard my offer yet.
Right? Ooh!
And you gonna like this one.
The real puppet master. Well, that was episode 2, y'all. called Radio On, and yeah, we're moving things along slightly with the plot. Definitely, once again, another episode that focused a lot more on the relationships between the different people in this group. We didn't really have a lot of action this episode. This was definitely more of a character building and of course plot building episode, but I like it though. This is what made it so intriguing last season, is that they really did a great job of developing layered, complex characters, and they're doing it again, just building on what we had from last season. And of course we got a few more players in here. I kind of really like the fact that Darius is getting a little more I guess more rounded than what we saw last season. So last season, Darius was very much kind of a one-dimensional character in the sense of, we knew his history. We knew that he got screwed over by Alex's dad. We know that he spent time in jail for him. We know that he was looking for revenge. And really, I think more than, actually, let me take that back. I think even more than that, all Darius has really wanted was acknowledgement that he took a huge hit for Alex's dad and that he got screwed over in the end. I think honestly, if Alex's dad had just been like, look, instead of throwing money at him and being like, oh yeah, I screwed you over, here's some money, shut up. Like, they were boys. Like, you have to, I remember saying this in season 1, like, what kind of a friend do you gotta be to do time for your friend? To admit to a crime you didn't even commit, so your friend can go free. Like, that's some level, like, I love all my friends. I mean, I love my friends, but I can't think of a single friend I'm willing to go to prison for a damn near life sentence for. No. Maybe my mother. That's it. Ain't nobody else in my life that I'm gonna do hard time for. He did this for Alex's dad and then really didn't get any type of appreciation or acknowledgement or like real, genuine, like, you know, like he didn't bring him up. And of course, we know as the audience that what Alex's dad was actually a protection in the long run when you think about it, because being involved in Pride would not help Darius in the least. But you get what I'm saying. Like, from Darius's point of view, I think just anybody who is willing to be that loving and empathetic towards somebody who's just their friend to do time for them, what would probably mean more to him than the money and the status and all of that would just be acknowledgement that, dude, I did this for you. I was there for you, and you just kind of turned your back on me. And I think that's really what hit Darius the hardest and why he's so kind of eager to make him pay. Like, I don't even think he really wants, even like I said, the revenge. He just wants the acknowledgement. And that softness, that deep down, 'cause I kept saying in this episode, and I meant it, you know, I was teasing, but honestly, it's not a bad thing. Like, Darius is clearly not like a hard criminal. Do I think Darius will do some hard stuff? Yes. Has he been forced to do that because of the life he's led? Yeah. However, at his core, like, you know what I mean? You can look at Darius and know that if he'd just been born in a different situation and had made a couple different choices, his life would be so different, right? But you see, the way he is with his woman, the way he is with his sister-in-law, the way he even is with Alex. Yes, some of his interaction with Alex, of course, I knew there was an ulterior motive. I wasn't surprised at the end of the episode when he called, what's his name, Jefferson up and was like, dude, like, I got something to propose. Although that wasn't even his idea. As you can see, his woman, the queen, which I'm going to come back to the fact that there are nothing but queens in this show, but coming back, his wife, you know, was the one who came up with this, like, we gonna do something about this. You know what I'm saying? You don't roll with the thug. You don't roll with the, you know, with the ghetto superhero and not pick up a few tricks. But yeah, like, I knew he had an alternative motive for spending all this time with Alex and keeping him in pocket. But I don't believe that all of it is completely ulterior motive. I definitely get the sense that Darius does actually care about Alex, and not in the sense of like some deep resounding bond or anything like that. But I think in spending time with Alex and seeing that he really is just a really good kid in general, and I think he's finding himself starting to like him more than he wants to, because even the way that Alex showed up at his house and was like, well, let me help out and all this stuff, you know, Darius was kind of like, half of him was like, you know, this isn't a good idea, but the other half of him is like, I kind of like this kid, and he obviously trusts Alex. So anyway, I've gone off track a bit, but I just, it's nice to see that Darius does seem to have this heart and all of it. I really don't think he wants anything bad to happen to Alex, but he's also, like he said to Alex when he took that gun back and he put it in his car and all this stuff, he's like, look, I can't trust your family. No offense, but I've been sucked in before. I can't trust you. I can't trust you won't do something. And that's not wrong of Darius, because Alex is very smart and Alex is a manipulator. And so if he really needed to, or he wanted to, he could definitely play Darius in some way, shape, or form. So Darius having the backup plan is not a bad idea, although the fact that he let Alex know that he had that backup plan was not smart. That's how you know Darius is still a couple steps behind where, you know, Alex and you know, the Pride are operating at, unfortunately. But yeah, anyway, either way, it's nice to see Darius have a little bit more of a rounded role this season. It'll be interesting to see how this all plays up. Other than that, coming back to the queens of this show, I feel like it really came out in this episode again, like we saw a lot of last season, that the women of Pride run things, okay? And I love it. I love a show. I stand a show that recognizes the power of a smart, independent woman. And of course, you know, Nico's mama and Caroline's mama, although she's been quiet lately, we know why. And then of course, like I said, Darius's girl, like, all these women who are standing behind these men, pulling strings, doing things. Although in the case of Nico's mama, she stands in the front. She isn't about pulling strings from the back. But I love seeing that these women are all strong and powerful and influential in their own way. And like, they're kind of running things. Like, these guys think they're running around with power. It's like, no, the ladies are pulling all the strings here. And yes, hallelujah to Chase's mom finally being given the recognition that she's not just Chase's mom, and she's not just Victor's wife, and she's not just the person who's sleeping with Nico's dad. Like, she's someone who is smart in her own right, who made the choice, who literally made the choice to have a child and be a primary caregiver to their child, and let her husband do what he needed to do to ascend to the heights of his career while she basically did everything else. And I love that this, you know, this episode really started to bring back the idea that, you know, she really is smart, and she always was smart, and Victor was attracted to her initially because of her smarts. And just because she's chosen a life where she doesn't necessarily get to always showcase those smarts doesn't mean that they're gone or that she's not capable. So I love that they let her be the one to decide that she's going to figure out another way to get to Jonah, because they're all talking about we're going to take Jonah down, but they have, like I said last episode, they don't have a plan at this point. They don't know anything about Jonah, and they're thinking they can go up against him. He's 10 steps ahead of them. Victor's wife, and I'm sorry, I cannot remember her name right now, she finally was smart enough to go, no, we need to know our opponent. Like, it doesn't make any sense for us to go to battle with someone when we know nothing about them. He knows everything about them. He knows about their families. He knows about what they, you know, what they have. He's got all this dirt on them. They've got nothing on him outside of the fact that he's not human. But they don't know what makes him tick. They don't know what his weaknesses are outside of the fact that he gets scaly and he needs 17-year-old sacrifices and stuff like that. So thankfully, she smartly said, no, we need to do our own research. We can't just keep going into this thinking that we're gonna somehow be able to come at this guy. Right? And I love that they sort of had that talk where they were like, well, we can't shoot him or use conventional means because he self-heals and he will probably roast us before we ever get a chance to really do any damage. So let's find out. Let's really start to get to know our opponent. Thank goodness she's on top of that. And it was just great to see her be the person who's decrypting this book, that he has all these secrets, I guess, of his, I don't know, his people, his planet, how it all works. I love it. I kind of like the idea of her becoming the dark horse who everyone's kind of underestimating, and then have her, I have a feeling she's gonna work, even though she was working with Alex's dad in that scene as far as the book and everything. I feel like she's gonna do a lot of stuff on her own and probably keep it to herself, because everyone in this Pride group we've seen is all kind of working for themselves, or all creating back doors for themselves. And we saw that with Alex's parents. They're looking at the idea of, you know, we saw that towards the end. They're planning on framing somebody for Destiny's murder. Who is the question? I don't think they can pin it on Jonah. I think that'd be stupid if they try to do that. So I'm trying to think of who else they could possibly put up on the chopping block for that. And I'm really at this point have no idea who would make the most sense, which kind of rolls into talking about how members of Pride are acting independently and doing weird things. Let's talk about the confrontation at Nico's house. So first and foremost, I just want to say right off the bat that the plan was just a mess. Like, as soon as it happened, I was like, this is such a bad plan. I don't know what they were thinking in going back to, of all places, her house. Like, when people have gone missing, or if they are people of interest by the cops, the first thing they do is surveil. Okay, the first thing they will do is surveil the homes of all the persons of interest. There's always, and you cannot tell me that there would not have been a cop or somebody watching Nico's house to see if she came home, because that's the first thing a lot of people do, especially rich kids who've never been on their own before. But anyways, we'll just forget that that never happened. And then the second thing is, like, why would Nico not maybe do the first thing, since she had access to the system and everything, and maybe check to see if her parents were actually at home, because, you know, they still live there and stuff? Did she actually think they're just still going to work business as usual while she's missing? Like, but I digress. All that aside, they show up, they obviously run into Tina, that's her name, I knew it would come back to me. They run into Tina, and what this whole, I think the whole thing showed, I think the whole reason we had this fumbling mess of a confrontation was to bring out the fact that these guys need to work together. Like, they are absolutely a mess at the moment. They cannot take on a fly, let alone their parents at this point, because they're all over the place. You know, they all thought, okay, you got this woman who has this staff, who's had it for God knows how long, and they thought a direct attack was gonna be enough. You know, I mentioned before about how last episode about how Molly's feeling herself and thinking she's kind of invincible. Like, girl strength only goes so far. Like, it's a great power to have, it's cool, but it's something that requires you to be pretty hands-on. So that puts you at a distinct disadvantage, particularly when you are not invincible yourself. Like, if Molly actually could harden her skin and become super invincible, that would be one thing. And maybe that's somewhere her powers will evolve as they get better. But at the moment, she's all bark. If she can get close enough, she can hurt you. But the whole point is to get close enough. And you're dealing with a girl who has a wand which can attack at range. So, you know, if she sees you coming, of course she's gonna block you. Rule number one when it comes to any type of a battle situation: if you roll up on your opponent and that person looks calm, if they look like they could be swinging on a hammock in Hawaii with a cigar in their mouth and a drink in their hand while they're about to face you, you're in trouble. Okay, that's 101. If they're chill and not worried, that means they know they've got this, and that should make you worried, okay? That's not even cockiness. That's just, I know that this situation is right here for me. You should take note. But they're young, so we're gonna give them a pass. But yes, the gong showed them all trying to attack her one at a time, which was silly. If they tried to do it all at once, they might have had a chance, because she can only use the staff in one way at one time. But they were all coming at her at different moments, although I really did enjoy the melee between her and Nico. That was really cool choreography, and I always love seeing two chicks just kicking butt. But anyway, that was silly. Of course, then we saw Molly end up in the pool, frozen, ready to drown, because again, her hubris. But it was another lesson for her, and later on we saw in the episode that it, you know, she took it to heart. But coming back, and then you have Carolina coming back and focusing her attention on trying to get Molly out, instead of, I don't know, taking out the woman wielding the spell. So maybe the spell would, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, it was just such a gong show. It was a complete gong show. I mean, first of all, shots fired with Nico calling her mom out on being a monster. Like, I don't think Tina expected her daughter to come at her that cold, but it's the truth. And I was actually surprised that I actually got to her, because let's face it, Tina's kind of accepted that she's not exactly an angel, and how hard she was even after she gave her the staff. She was like, yeah, well, you know, she's gonna do what she's gonna do, but I'm willing to cut her off as a child going forward. Like, if she's gonna act this way, then she's my enemy. Like, okay, damn, you know what I'm saying? Like, Tina is a gangsta. She's an OG. She doesn't mess. Like, she makes her decision and she goes with it. Like, I'll give her that. Like, I respect Tina. When she makes a choice, she walks the path. No matter how many, you know, pitfalls are in the way, she's gonna keep going. So she gives the staff to Nico, which again, I keep thinking, like, I don't know, part of me was like, maybe there's a tracking device in it or something, or there's a way she'll be able to find them through the staff, because it just seemed a little strange to give her daughter something that powerful. Anyway, that whole scene was interesting, but like I said, I think the whole point of it was to show that, as we saw at the last, you know, in the last scenes there, with Nico calling the team meeting, they need to learn to work together, because right now they're all trying to do their own thing, and it's not going to work when they're going up against organized or even just well-versed opponents. They're just not, they're falling apart. They're going to fall apart. So we already saw Molly's going off on her own. Looks like she's probably going to start training on her own, which is not a terrible thing, because with her powers, it's not something that anyone else can really help her with, because they'll get hurt. But yeah, Nico was absolutely right in that they need to get together and start working together as a team and making decisions as a team, and stop the whole, you know, the dick swinging contest we saw once again between Chase and Alex. I need that to end. I get it though, and we need a little conflict within the group. They need to come together and be on the same page, or they're just gonna get rolled every single time. Speaking of Chase though, we brought Chase up. Really cute moment with Chase and Gert. I really loved seeing the fact that they finally addressed the fact that Gert's been just a mess. I mentioned this in the last episode, that homegirl, you know, Chase is not the best at reading girls as it is, but she did not make it easy. And they brought up a couple of times now that Gert's normally on anxiety medication, and she hasn't been on it for a while now. So she's feeling the effects of being really right now. And you think about the fact that she doesn't have her meds, on top of the fact that she's in the most stressful situation of her life. Not a great combination. And yeah, she's been taking it out on Chase basically because Chase is the sweet enough guy to take it. But I'm glad that, you know, Chase finally kind of, but calmly. I really like the way Chase went about it. He really could have snapped at her and she would have kind of deserved it. But I love that he was just kind of like, I don't feel like this is really about me, but let's talk about it because I don't get why you just keep giving me heat. Like, I was so heartbroken for him when he came and he was like all excited about the car and he's like, I found the Rolls Royce. And she's like, leave me alone. You know, I was like, come on, Gert, don't be like this. You know what I mean? Like, he was just so genuinely happy, and seeing Chase is like that personality that even though everything kind of sucks right now, he's totally trying to keep it half full. But I love that he just finally addressed it and said, look, let's talk about this, what's going on. I don't think it has everything to do. I think we need to talk about what's going on with us. Cause like I said last episode, you know, she's giving him the cold shoulder and being all weird during the day, but then she's slick, you know, they're bunking together at nights and she always wants to be near him. So he's getting mixed signals and he has every right to be confused. And thankfully, you know, she just kind of came out with it and she was like, yeah, some of it is the fact that I'm dealing with my emotions in full spectrum for the first time in a long time without my meds, but also I just, you know, this is a weird situation for me. And I think, and I like that they put it into perspective. Like Chase is like, we kind of hooked up because we thought we were gonna die and then we didn't die. And now it's like Gert, and I said this last season, I think, is that I was surprised that she boned, you know, not that I didn't think she was capable, but it didn't seem in character for her. And it makes sense. If you think you're gonna die, people do crazy things when they think they've got a timer on their lives. So yeah, you know, it's like she did this crazy thing based on the fact that she thought she was gonna die and then she didn't, and now she's gotta live with the actual repercussions. And it's not like in the real world where in any other situation she could have done that and then like not seen him for a few weeks or gone away. Now they're like literally stuck together all the time. So now it's like you're dealing with this consequence daily with no escape. So I get it. And her being a teenager, both of them being teenagers, it's a lot to deal with, and she clearly didn't know the best way to do it. But I'm glad they just finally sat down and Chase was like, look, I don't know more I can like spell it out for you. Like, girl, I like you. Like, I like you and I want this to be a thing. So can we just not? And she was kind of like, oh, okay, cool. You do like me. Fine, I got verbal confirmation. Cool. So like now they can stop hopefully with the weirdness and just accept the fact that they are definitely a thing. I really also like, because this show is gonna have such a young audience overall, I think it's really nice that they address the fact that Gert kind of said, look, just so you know, my anxiety is already kind of heightened because of the medication, but also there's other things in my life that are kind of stressful and nerve-wracking, and the whole sex thing is. And I think it's so important that this message is put out there because sometimes, especially with younger people, they sometimes feel that like if you've had sex once or you've gotten sexual with somebody, that means that from that point forward you can't say no or close the door. And it's really, really, really good that the show took the time to really express that boundaries are okay and they are for you to set, and it's all right for you to set them whenever and wherever you want. It was a small moment, but I really appreciate that the writers threw that in there because I think it's a really great message for younger people out there to understand how important boundaries and consent are. Always, always, always. And super sexy. Consent, super sexy. That was pretty much it for the kind of inter-team stuff. Our team is definitely still very fragmented as far as the kids. You know, Carolina and Nico had the fight, of course, which was obviously started by Nico. But I'm glad that they were able to come to a stalemate at the end. But I think, unfortunately, I don't think that was purely because Carolina wanted it to be squashed. I do think it's because she knows she's lying about her father and what she's been doing with getting along with him. We saw she's dropped the bracelet now, so she thankfully was able to play that off about how she suddenly knows how to turn her powers off without the bracelet. But how long before people start to figure out that she's lying? And I think that might have been more why she decided to smooth things over with Nico so that Nico wouldn't get too suspicious of her and her actions. Good episode overall, as I said, a lot more character building. I liked seeing a few people shine, particularly Chase's mom, and seeing Darius. These kind of secondary characters get a little bit more layers and a little bit more rounded in this episode. And again, we're seeing the typical story plotline effect of, you know, the teams are kind of, our team Runaways are kind of not growing apart, but they're dispersed at the moment. They're very fragmented at the moment. But I think we're going to see as the season goes on, we're going to see them come back together, but in a logical way, not just because they're running from their parents, but because they're going to realize that they need to be together to defeat them, but also because they need each other. And that's really going to be the glue that's going to really hold them together. So I hope you liked watching this along with me, guys. What did you think of the episode? How are you feeling about how all the characters are coming along? Please leave your comments below. Let me know what you're thinking. You know I love getting involved in that conversation with you guys. And if you like this video, guys, please click like. And if you want to see more from this Kiki face, please click subscribe. Until next time,